Hello and welcome to another video where I have a little bit of a talk about one of the countries that is coming in Europa Universalis 5, that game that we're all incredibly hyped about. If you're as hyped as I am, then maybe you could pre-purchase the game using the link in the description and the pinned comment, where you still get a Steam key and I get a cutback of the sale, so you're helping out myself, the channel, and you know, it's just it just kind of be cool, you know, just kind of be cool. Before we get into talking about Portugal, though, there was a dev diary and a video that the developers have put out that is called Actual Dev Diary Number 1. And essentially, this dev diary is for people who have not been, you know, stuck to the Tinto talks, and it has the most up-to-date information of all the things that have already been discussed in the Tinto talk. It's a good read. I recommend it. I'm not going to go over it all too in-depth as I have done with other Tinto talks, because essentially it is retreading a lot of ground. It's an introduction, essentially, to EU5. But there's a couple of things that I do want to showcase. First of all is this image right here. This, I think, is so gratifying. This makes me feel so good, because essentially what we have in the top image is the terrain map that we got on the 8th of May. This is the first time they showed the terrain map. This is the 8th of May. And this is the same one that we had in the EU5 build that we got to play back in April and May. And I had a massive problem with this for one main reason, essentially, and that is the textures, not even the height map. The height map was fine. The textures on things like the steps going into planes, it was just too harsh. It was too... it didn't look good. It just didn't look good. And now what we have is an updated texture map with the video that came out alongside the dev diary. I just want to point out just how goddamn good it looks. Like, holy, what an upgrade. Seriously, I am absolutely thrilled with what they've done. It looks so much better, so massive props to whoever was responsible for this. It's not perfect, right? And there have been a lot of people complaining about, essentially, actually, if I zoom in a little bit more, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. The place people are complaining about is, easiest way if I, no, not that one. Not that one. I'll get it. Essentially, there's an area of the map that looks, now if I just do this and move over, the jankest way of doing things possible. This is the bit that people are having a little bit of an issue with. This is the desert in, like, Syria, and this is essentially a little bit too harsh. What I think this is just to show the difference between this is playable land where you have, you know, you can play on it. There's locations that you can build in, and essentially, you know, that is workable land, and then it's just showing a very stark difference with the wasteland. I totally understand where they're coming from, saying that this is too harsh. This is essentially what my main issue was with the original one. And actually, I think it looks a little bit less stark in this version. But overall, I still think that this is a huge, huge upgrade, and I'm really, really happy to see that. The other thing that I want to share is this one. This is showing the different versions of the government tab that we've seen throughout the progress of the game, with dates as well as when we saw it in the 12th of June 2024, and it looks like this. Then the 8th of May, this is when we first saw all of that release content stuff. And then finally, this is what we've got on the 23rd of August. And I just want to point out just how much things have changed with the UI, and I think it has come a long way. It looks a lot better, especially the characters. And, you know, I know that there is still a huge kind of hatred, I guess, in some parts towards the characters, and I totally understand that. But I just want to point out that Edward here looking very much like he's made of plasticine, Andronikos of the Roman Empire looking slightly better, and then Duke Louis here, it's looking good. It is looking good. I will point out as well that a lot of times when you're getting these characters with the borders around them, the background is just one plain color, which is you see that so often now in so many different places. It looks so much better. It looks so much better. It basically fixes a lot of the issues that I've had with the characters, and like I say, I don't find them to be like completely in your face and you know, distracting or bring me out of the experience at all. I think they are really working quite well now, and yeah, I appreciate the progress that has been made on making this just look better over time. I think they've done a really, really good job. But anyway, on to the Tinto flavor. We're going to be talking about Portugal. It is a tier 2 country, so a lot of flavor in there. It's played an important role during the period, having over 60 dynamic historical events, numerous content assets, and yeah, let's have a look at it. The Kingdom of Portugal won its independence after a long and hard-fought struggle against both the Muslim and Christian rulers of the Iberian region. Of Iberia, or the Iberian region, so that needs an N on the end. After the important social, economic, and cultural reforms promoted by King Denis, I assume that's how you pronounce it, I don't know, his son and successor, King Alfonso IV the Brave de Borgoña, may now face different challenges and opportunities while ruling over the Portuguese people. To the west and south lies the wide North Atlantic Ocean, and the promise of new trade routes with foreign lands, while to the east, the powerful crown of Castile with strong dynastic connections to Portugal could lead to a united Iberia under Portuguese leadership. Whatever the future holds, Portugal will need to secure its position one way or another to ensure its future as an independent country. Now, what I really do appreciate quite a lot as well with Portugal, and the fact that they also can unify Iberia, and we saw this in a previous dev diary, and actually I can pull it up as well, is that when you form Spain, you know, the almost united Iberian country, if you form it as Portugal, you could get a Spanish flag with the Portuguese flag in there as well, which I think is really, really cool. So you know, if you are playing as Portugal, you don't really have to stay in your little Tetris piece in the middle of Iberia or on the edge of Iberia. You can do the conquest path if you so desire, and there is some, you know, something there for you if you do it. But anyway, we have King Alfonso IV the Brave here. He's got very, very good stats, and these stats improve the efficiency of your cabinet. So these are still very important to have, very useful to have. Primary culture Portuguese, Catholic, obviously. Majority of the population is Portuguese. You have some Andalusi, the Sephardi, and the Astur-Leonese as well. They also have a Sunni population of 76,000, 17,000 Jews there as well, and they have a royal marriage with Castile to start the game. Country is blue. This is, I think, the correct way to do it. They are a monarchy at the start of the game, so they are blue. I don't know if they become green, if they become a republic. It's not something I've seen happen in my games, and I haven't played as them yet, so I can't really comment on that, but I would assume so. I remember that being a big contentious issue as well. But blue definitely suits them at this point, and it doesn't look bad on the map. It fits. I think it fits. But also, damn, this is looking really good. This is looking really good. I put out a tweet a few days ago saying about there is a slider in the game options for how large you want buildings. And I just want to clarify as well, when I talk about the slider for building sizes, that is not these castles at this zoomed length. I'm talking specifically about these buildings that you see on the map here. There is a slider to make these larger and smaller. If you go to the absolute maximum, you may see Lisboa fill up the entirety of their location. At the minimum level, you'll maybe see it a bit smaller than this. I think this is... if this is standard, I can't really tell off the top of my heart. If this is, you know, the default. But yeah, you can make it larger and smaller to your heart's desire. Really cool system. But that does not affect these forts. This fort level, you know, zoom is, you know, it's for strategic purposes. So they need to stay very visible. But anyway, moving on. Let's take a look at the structural content of Portugal, starting with the estates and government as usual. So you start with one government reform and the ability to add one more. Your nobles are very, very powerful at 39%, clergy at 22, burghers at 6, although, let's be honest, this goes high very quickly as you add a bunch of burgher privileges. Your commoners are starting with the advance that increases the potency of your levies, so that's always a nice one to have. I can't remember what this one is, though. So, Portuguese monarchy, very strong. 10% tax efficiency is huge. Absolutely huge. Basically, you're going to get 10% more taxes just because. That's just really, really strong. Any kind of tax or production or trade efficiency modifier in EU5 is a very, very good modifier to have. The flavor of the parliament is called the Cortes Gerais. Cool, very, very cool, that one. Starting works of art, you have the Convent of Christ, you have the Alcobaza, I have no idea how to pronounce the C with a tail, monastery, and as was promised last week, they'll be taking a look at the unique naval units that are available for Iberian countries, an important part of the Portuguese content, and they're all unlocked by different advances. So we have 3 different types of caravels for the first 3 ages of the game. You have the early Iberian caravel. I think, how many cannons you have, the hull size, the speed. I think actually this one's the speed. This is combat speed or initiative. I forget. Oh, this is initiative. Yeah. Cannons, initiative, hull size. This one I know is how much weight it is. So if you have too many units or ships in a single stack, they get a movement speed penalty. So that's what this one is. I forget what this one is. Then logistics, how much food they have, their speed across the map, anti-piracy, how much maritime efficiency they have. Yeah, just lots of stats there. I don't recall all of what they all are. Actually, you know what? I think I have a here. No, I don't. Never mind. So, yeah, and then we have the Iberian Caravel. It gets slightly better with more cannons. Movement speed is higher for these ships as well. Obviously, you can see with the green arrow what has been increased over the average ship. So the Iberian Caravel is better in the same way. More cannons, more hull, more speed. And then the square-rigged ship is just faster. But very cool to have those. As for heavy ships, your galleons, 60 cannons and 30 hull strength, and some speed there as well is what they're getting. Galleons are what determines as well what if you become a naval hegemon, and it doesn't take a whole lot of ships in the version I'm playing. It doesn't take a whole lot of ships to become the naval hegemon over the AI. So if you have, say, 20 to 30, you're in contention. If you have like 50 heavy ships, you are going to be in the third age, the naval hegemon. So I think this is going to be really something that Portuguese players can really expect to have. And in the fourth age, even more cannons, more hull size. Not faster this time, though. And then, some unique advances. We have the Battle of Aurique. I pronounced that perfectly, don't worry about it. Giving you some infantry power, really good modifier, very much enjoy that one. I have naval movement speed plus 10% and monthly naval attrition plus 0.1 from the establishment of the Portuguese Navy. Pursuing the waves, giving exploration monthly progress. This is a really powerful modifier because you're spending lots of ducats every single month while exploring. If you and your progress is going up by like 0.1. This might even just half the time it takes you to colonize. It's a very, very powerful modifier. And also some colonial range from pursuing the waves. Bombardieros, giving heavy ship power, really powerful modifier, and blockade efficiency. I think that's the one here that I missed, my bad, on that one. So that's blockade efficiency. The Fetorius, giving trade advantage and trade range use over sea, and also unlocks the Feitoria building, which gives you maritime presence, trade advantage, and production efficiency. I'm not going to lie, this is a building that you will be building in every single city and every single town, without exception. Just without exception. Taking some masonry and some naval supplies to, fund the building, the production method, is not a huge cost. You will be building these everywhere. Employed 500 burgers as well. I mean, yeah, it's just a really, really good building. Obviously, you can only build it on the coast as well, but, you know, you should be making the majority of your coastal provinces towns at least anyway, because they're just really good. And you can only build docks and wharfs in towns and cities anyway. You can't build them in rural, and you're gonna want them. It's a good time. We have the ordenanzas giving monthly army tradition, the colonial governors giving loyalty of subjects, the cazadores giving the cazadores regular regiment. This is morale damage received, I believe, as a modifier, and also in damage received, just strength damage received, I think. Damage taken. This is more, yeah, this is the one that I have a cheat sheet for because someone asked in the comments and I put it on another monitor. This one is morale damage received. This one is damage taken. So yeah, very good modifiers there, for sure. This one, combat power, combat speed. This one is flanking ability. This one is frontage. This one is initiative. This one is secure flanks. Then we have damage taken, food storage, movement speed, food consumption, and unit weight per strength. These are buttons that over time will become second nature to you. And yes, I've got a few hours in the game right now. I'm up to 177 hours. I'll get there eventually. I will get there eventually. I haven't played a whole lot of naval powers. That's why the naval modifiers and such aren't second nature yet, and it's just not something that I've focused on learning all of the individual icons. But essentially, that's because in my version, these have names. They don't just have symbols. Like, this is a further, more advanced version of the game than the one that I currently have. So I will get to learn these. It will happen. Don't worry about it. All of these, when it comes together, allows for Portugal to become a dominant maritime and colonial power early on in the game. But as you might know at this point, this is not gifted. A player playing with Portugal has to research these advances, build these ships, and create strong enough economic power base that allows for the exploration expeditions to take place. If succeeding in this, the potential wealth and power that could be achieved would greatly return all these initial investments made. Very attached to that, we have the narrative content available for Portugal. While the first century or so has more events based around the court, its development and intrigues, around the Age of Discovery, the content will be much more related to the exploration and colonization of new lands, the golden age of Portugal. I think you should go and watch One Proud Bavarian's video of him playing as England. He did an AAR. It didn't show any footage, but I recommend you go watch that because this here is very much put quite nicely by him. That he did a bunch of colonizing as England, and essentially he was led into the same decisions that the real historical people were of the time, where he's got a bunch of really good trade goods, or just really good goods in the New World, in his colonies, but he doesn't have enough people to, work in these plantations. But then there's a lot of people that he could bring to these plantations if he kind of goes down a bit of a darker route. And essentially, the game authentically, dynamically, without any railroading, that's a bad word to use, incentivized the creation of the triangle trade. And that made him incredibly powerful when he engaged in that practice. And here, a player playing as Portugal can have potential wealth and power that can be achieved by, doing all of this stuff. That's something, triangle trade was invented by Portugal, I'm fairly sure. That's... If I'm wrong there, I'm going to get hate in the comments. Whatever, I don't care. You're going to be able to be so insanely rich with this. And obviously, Portugal gets to play around with the Treaty of Tordesillas as well that we learned about last week. So yeah, really, colonization can really give you a lot of money. But anyway, on to the Golden Age of Portugal. We have transferring University of Coimbra was originally founded as the University of Lisboa by Denis the Farmer back in 1290. It was given the name Estudo Geral and remained in the city until 1308, when it was moved to where it is today due to conflicts with local citizens. Since then, however, these conflicts have finally subsided, and the rule of King Alfonso could see the university be returned back to the capital of Lisboa. So you can return the university, or can't let their conflicts resurface. They have an event about Inés de Castro joining the court, and the book option. It's the book option here, but it's not here. Maybe there's a bug there. You have a love affair between Inés and Pedro the Cruel, which is also a book option there. Maybe they've just started putting them on here. Again, this is not something that I have in my version. We have All Eyes Upon Sabta. We should go forth and conquer being the book option. The Portuguese Ordinances, which is going to give you a government reform for plus 5% minimum tax, which again is an incredible modifier, and that comes along with another 10% tax efficiency. Look, EU4 players meme about the tax meta in EU4. Portugal has the tax meta just on lockdown in EU5. Plus 20% tax efficiency and plus 5% minimum tax. You are going to be taxing very, very efficiently. You're just going to have a good time with that. Very nice indeed. When the printing press comes along, you get the printing press and Portuguese ordinances. You can commission a new edition. Very nice indeed. Sao Jorge, I have no idea how to pronounce any of these things. You got that as an event. Ribeira de Naus, Das Naus, I don't know. You get a building. It's a good one. You get only available in cities, and get some sailors. You can build more ships at the same time. Very nice building to have, of course. And then, of course, you also can get Christopher Columbus. The book option is to reject his proposal. Send him on his way. Let him go to Castile. Or you can hire him, and you can be the one to have Christopher Columbus as your explorer, if you so desire. Vasco da Gama, also a character that can appear. Your explorers can reach India. There's an event where you can get claims on Goa as well, which is, historical and nice. Casa de India as well here. You get another government reform, giving more trade advantage, hugely powerful modifier, loyalty of subjects and subject income, and then monthly progress to mercantilism. Very nice indeed. And the Governorate General of Brazil as well, which, look, either you can establish it or you may not need it. Either way, it's historical. This was a bug. There's a comment about that says it's a bug. But if you are to establish it, you get the Portuguese Governor-General policy, giving income from colonial subjects plus 50%, which is huge. Monthly colonial migration plus 50%, also huge. And some progress to centralization. Ambitions of Fernando de Magalhães, nailed it. It's another event that can pop up. Os Lucidas is another one. And there is much, much more. Next week, and by next week, I mean today, because I did this video quite late. I was busy. But today, and in fact, I think has already been released, Tinder Map feedback for Scandinavia should be a good one on Wednesday. We'll get some more colonial events. We'll have the Columbian Exchange and the Colonial Revolution. Super looking forward to this, because I haven't actually engaged in the Columbian Exchange yet in my game time. So really looking forward to seeing how that all shakes out. On Thursday, we have Government, Politics and Estates for the second proper dev diary. And then on Friday, Tinto flavor about my own home country of England. Super looking forward to that one as well. Before we end, though, of course, there are a bunch of feedback from the devs to your comments, commentary, demands, discussions, etc. So, my biggest fear is, what am I going to do as Portugal for the first 100 years? Will I be forced to just start exploration 100 years earlier than historical? I'm also surprised there aren't more Sunni around. The aftermath of the fall of Cordoba isn't that long ago. So, you will potentially be called by Castile to wage war against Morocco early on. You have internal troubles with the Castro family. You have the Black Death to go through, potentially crusading against Morocco, and you can build up your economy to have a sustainable economic base, which later on makes it easier for you to explore and colonize. And that's following a historical roleplay perspective. Other things can be done, such as participating in the Hundred Years' War, invading Castile, etc. I mean, yes, but I see where Davorix is coming from, and I don't really think this is enough of an answer, right? Of course, if you play as Portugal, you can go and fight Castile if you want. You can go fight Morocco if you want. You can go fight in France if you want. Like, that's stuff that is available to you. But if you want to do the, historical Portugal route, you end up with the same borders in Iberia as they do have historically and in modernity as well. Then, yeah, essentially what you're going to be doing is sitting in your little Tetris piece and kind of just developing your country. Obviously, I'm not talking about clicking the dev button. I'm talking about, constructing buildings, doing advances, maybe do some manual trading. That kind of thing is essentially your early game for 150 years. Is that going to be enough for some people? I don't know. I feel like in a multiplayer situation, which I'm always going to come back to multiplayer because I think it is going to be a really important part of my experience with EU5 going forward. If I seed a Portugal and a Castile player, I think other than, if they want to stay friendly and Castile doesn't just, murder Portugal, then I feel like Portugal's early game is going to be preparing to colonize, getting the economic base to colonize, but mostly just helping Castile in what Castile wants to do with European conquest. Is that going to be enough? Some players are going to love that. Some players are going to feel like there's not enough to do, and, it is what it is on that front. A couple of suggestions. If you're looking for some late game figures, look into Marquis of Pombal. There is late game content for Pombal in a dynamic way. There is an event that selects a member of your cabinet. Get some more absolutism here versus liberalism, and go more towards mercantilism as well. There is, of course, the earthquake that really shook Lisbon in, I don't remember what date it was, but that can also happen. The Lisbon 1750s when it happened. This is like one of the massive earthquakes that you're taught about. Historical one that basically destroyed the entire city. Death count of between 20 and 40,000 people. Absolutely catastrophic. And if that happens, then you have a really nice a graphical effect happening on the map. There's more advances in content, but they only show some in each Tinto flavor. Awesome stuff. Events about the establishment of the Avi dynasty as well, which is, I think Avi is the dynasty that you have in EU4, I believe. I have never actually played Portugal in EU4, despite having 10,000 hours in that game, so I can't say for sure, but I'm fairly certain the Avi dynasty is there. Anyway, moving on. How often do we see both Portugal and Spain as the two main colonizers in the New World? They intend to have the early game colonization balanced around strong colonizing Portugal and Castile. Right now, there's a lot of talk in the community, especially in like the content creator, massive feedback, mega thread, blah blah, where people are really harshly complaining about the lack of colonization because various content creators have said that colonization isn't happening as it should. The main issue with that is the Micronesian islands, so Tenerife and such, currently riddled with malaria. Absolutely riddled with it. So it's very hard for Portugal and Castile to start getting that foothold to go to the colonies because they're kind of stuck trying to colonize an area that really doesn't want to be colonized. Bloody mosquitoes. So it's essentially a bug that's stopping it, and when content creators have said, oh, there's this bug, then, it's kind of made the community a little bit fearful. Bugs have been found and squashed, and we're on a build that is now like 3 weeks old. So I'm personally not worried about it. And I do think Portugal and Castile are going to be the primary colonizers in basically every single game that you play. I think France is going to get involved as well. England's going to get involved as well. But I think these two are the main guys for it. Where are the goods used for naval unit maintenance consumed? The location here, where the ship was built. So it's the market of the location they're in. So they can't get goods or such when in non-coastal areas, and the attrition there is rough, and naval attrition is daily. So sail your ship out into a deep water area that does not have naval goods in its market, and you're going to be suffering horrendous amounts of attrition and potentially lose your boats. So be careful of that. I hope the Age of Renaissance advance would help Portugal reach the Azores and Guinea before the Age of Discovery, but not the Americas. You cannot cross the Atlantic before the Age of Discovery advance. So that's also going to, I guess, prevent people from hopping there a bit too early. And I think in the May version of the game, a lot of people were getting events where Castile had found the Americas in 1392, which is not going to be possible anymore. What does hiring Columbus give you? It gives you a character that's available in-game that you can send in command of an expedition to explore. Very nice. Triangle trade. I've already kind of talked about this with the One Pro Bavarian video, but it is portrayed by game mechanics and kind of encouraged by game mechanics. Are there special buildings, mechanics related to slave-based sugar plantations? Oh, that's that one. Yep. So that. Yep. There's also the Encourage Banderitas advance that gives you some monthly colonial migration. And then will Brazil get events tied to Jesuits? Not as of now, but maybe in the future. Will Goa be gifted? Explorers Reaching India event will grant a CB to conquer Goa, but then the Portuguese player would have to take it manually. Is it possible to purchase Goa from the Indian countries? It's possible through base mechanics. So yeah, purchasing locations is possible. How does Portugal gain benefits while holding territories or buildings along the Indian coast? So you need to basically bring the goods back from Goa to Portugal. And the way you'd want to do that is building outposts around Cape of Good Hope. You know, you don't want to put Goa in the Lisbon market, but having Goa in its own market I'm pretty sure the market in India is called Goa. That's the market center. And then using the trade, the individual modifiers and such is completely going over my head and forgetting them. The market, the one that you can set, you take the goods from Goa and you send it back. You can send it to like the Cape of Good Hope, where you have some more trade buildings and maritime presence, and that's not the word I'm looking for. Merchant capacity, something like that. Anyway, you can send it in a chain, essentially. You probably want to do these kind of things manually. You know, the colonial getting goods from the New World, getting goods from India. That's kind of stuff that you want to do manually, and then, you know, let the rest of it be automated, in my opinion. And you can also put trade offices as foreign buildings, so building them in other countries, which allows for getting market presence in distant markets. Also, after the Age of Reformation, a new subject type will appear, the trade company, which will greatly increase the capacity in distant lands. When that market presence has been established, you can trade the goods to your metropolitan market and neighboring ones for a good profit. So the trade company here is I'm pretty sure it's a building-based country, so they don't have land itself. But yeah, this is going to really, really help. Does it say here it's building-based country? I think it says it's somewhere else. I'm fairly sure it's a building-based country, though. But either way, moving on. Is there flavor about Portuguese contact with Japan? Yes, there's events about the Portuguese gaining a port in Japan for the Nanban trade. How dynamic is the Portuguese flag? There are options to get different Portuguese flags that are scripted to appear dynamically. There we go. Trade companies are building-based countries. The moment they get a location, they become a settled country, and they will cease to be that subject type. They'll be a regular subject instead. Was Burgos a bigger market than Lisboa in 1337? So they originally had a market set up in Lisboa, but they removed it as the testers agreed it was more beneficial for them to be long to the market in Sevilla. Burgos didn't exist at that time. As they're currently doing another round of QA testing with Portugal, they'll ask the QA analysts, because with the current balance on trading, it may be the opposite, that you now may want to create a market in Lisboa as soon as possible. Australianese population was much bigger. I feel like that's bigger. And then it's been noted, and etc. Nice. So there are some other characters that are in the game that didn't get mentioned, so here's a list of them. I can't pronounce basically any of these, so I'm just going to let you read them. But they don't have Afonso de Albuquerque. They should add him because that's a fun word to say. And then a bunch of others. Hopefully they will be in before the game releases. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. There is also an event for the Navigator. It triggers if any member of the ruling dynasty has a total of 180 points in skills. Bear in mind 300 is the maximum. So you need to be a 60, 60, 60. So not exactly unattainable. The first historical option makes the character foster exploration expeditions in the country, and the said character gets the nickname the Navigator. Very cool. Anyway, that's Portugal. What do you think? Are you planning to play Portugal in EU5 when EU5 releases? I am more interested in playing Portugal in EU5 than I ever was in EU4, because obviously I didn't play in EU4. Mostly to the tax meta, and also I think colonization is going to be way, way more fun in EU5 than it ever was in EU4. So, yeah, I didn't play Portugal in EU4. I'm probably going to play it in EU5. I'd like to hear your thoughts, though, so leave them in the comments section below. And again, if you are interested in pre-purchasing EU5, there is a link in the pinned comment. Helps out the channel, helps me out. I'd be very appreciative. And if you're against pre-ordering, which is totally fine, that link's still going to be there when the game releases, so you can wait for some reviews and then decide to get it if you so desire. But that's all from me. I will see you guys on probably Thursday. Yeah, hope for another good dev diary. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.